Gragson has been reinstated by NASCAR. Zane Smith has decided that his 2024 future, well, he knows what he's doing. We'll have an announcement on Friday on what Kaulig is doing. Kyle Busch swaps pit crews. NASCAR's making playoff changes. All this and a lot more here on the Weekly Still on Stuck in the Catch Fence. What's going on, everyone? Hopefully you're having a wonderful, this is a Wednesday afternoon, so whatever time you watch this, hopefully your week has been going really, really well. We have had quite a bit of information this week. I thought we might be getting some schedule news coming out this week. So far we have not had that. Mainly some silly season stuff and also, well, we're going to the very last leg of the round of 16 playoffs. And then the other series are starting their playoffs as well as we move to Bristol. And just a reminder, that race will be on Saturday night. But let's go ahead and start the show with a quick question. And my quick question for you, is it fair for Martin Truex Jr. to possibly be knocked out of the first round? I've seen some stuff going around social media wondering that since he won the regular season championship, do you think that it's fair that he may possibly be knocked out of the first round of the playoffs? That's a fair question. Not a lot of sports, though, if you think about it, have first-round buys for the regular season champion or maybe, the division champion or things of that nature. Football does. Baseball used to not, then did, and then, now everything's kind of crazy with it. Basketball does not. So do you think NASCAR should implement that, realizing the fact that Martin Truex has a very, I would say, more than moderate possibility of being knocked out of the playoffs? Me personally, with the advantage that you get from being the regular season champion, if you set yourself up to be in the spot that Martin Truex is in right now, I just simply don't have a lot of pity for you. These are the best drivers in the world. You showcase that you're the best driver, and for you to throw all of what you've done in 26 races away in 2 races from what we've seen so far, that's really an indicative that you probably shouldn't be the champion at the end of the year. I get it. 26 races body of work should be, in most people's eyes, greater than 10, especially people that don't like the playoff system. But we have what we have. It's closer to every other sport. And, if let's just say this, if they were to give a bye to the first round, I wouldn't hate it. I would understand it. But we have what we have, and for it to be called unfair, it's never been unfair to anybody else. The fact that it's just Martin Truex Jr. has just not ran well and had a little bit of bad luck on top of it, I don't think we should make wholesale changes. The changes that NASCAR made to the playoffs, it was all the time. Now we have some stability. The only change that I wish they would make to the playoffs is the fact that we go back to Homestead, Miami at the last race of the year versus Phoenix. So let me know what you think. Do you think that it's fair? And do you think NASCAR should change the way that they handle the regular season champion? Or do you think they should keep it the way that it is? But that being said, now let's get into this week's NASCAR news. So we have a lot of news to go through, and this one kind of surprised a lot of people. Noah Gragson, out of nowhere, was reinstated by NASCAR. He has completed whatever education or training they thought he needed for making a tweet, and he is now allowed to sign with any team since he is unemployed currently by being released from himself, which we knew he was going to get released anyway from Legacy Motor Club. He is now free to drive for whoever, whenever, however, whenever that opportunity presents himself, because NASCAR says you are one of us again. So I think it's good. The indefinite suspension put a lot of question in people's minds. And just to let you know, indefinite just means they don't have a timeline It could be tomorrow. It could be 100 years from now. A lot of people view indefinite as in they hear definite and think it's like for the rest of time. It's indefinite. So glad that he's back. I think the situation has been well discussed. I have a video solely on what happened to Noah Gragson and the fact that, I didn't think what he did was punishable, maybe a stern talking to, but definitely not a punishment. But the fact that he did actually apologize for what he did, I kind of lost a lot of respect for Noah Gragson. But I do know that he has a lot of followers. I do know that he is a solid driver that I think deserves a chance in this sport. He was horrible this year, and that is an objective measure, not subjective. Underperformed by most people's standards, but also think that he's done enough in the lower series to say that he still is one of the better drivers that deserves a chance, in this series. Where it will be, that is anyone's guess. That's anyone's guess. It could be with Rick Ware Racing. It could. I really don't know. I really don't know where it will be. There could be a team that buys a charter and decide that they want Noah Gragson to be the person that fills that in. That's just a whole lot of speculation for somebody that if he was to perform the way that a lot of people expected, or at least just slightly below Ty Gibbs, I think you would hear a lot of chatter about people trying to sign him. We know that Kyle Larson went through a ton of stuff, and while he was at Chip Ganassi Racing, he never exceeded Chip Ganassi Racing inside of that. He did well, but a lot of people thought that Kyle Larson was a very, very talented driver, just in bad equipment or mediocre equipment at best. So whenever he came back, he signed with the most pronounced club in all of NASCAR and with Hendrick Motorsports. And the thing is, I don't think we see that with Noah because he was in NASCAR and he just simply was unable to do anything with that number 42 ride. So we shall see. Let me know where you think Noah Gragson might land. I think it'll probably be, I don't know. I think it'll be with a Chevy team. So I would say that I think it could be a surprise that he's like maybe the second car for Kaulig Racing. I don't think that's a high possibility. He might just do something with like Spire and be like the replacement for Ty Gibbs. I think that's probably the most likely situation. But speaking of Kaulig Racing, they will announce their next driver on Friday. They said that's when it's going to be. Mr. Rice, the owner of Kaulig Racing president of Kaulig Racing with Matt Kaulig, did post a tweet of a handshake. Most people trying to figure out whose hand it is he is shaking. The rumors are Daniel Hemrick. Daniel Hemrick, the former Xfinity Cup winner, drove for RCR for a cup of tea and then found himself back in the Xfinity Series. So that is the projected person to announce on Friday, but we still do not know. Feel free to go to Kaulig Racing on Twitter or X or whatever the hell it's called, and let us know what you think could be the next possible driver for Kaulig Racing, and then let me know what you think if Kaulig Racing made the right move by getting Daniel Hemrick. I like Daniel Hemrick. I think he's a talented driver. I think he's got more talent than some of the drivers in the field today, so I don't hate it. I think it's kind of a surprise that if he was to be a sole driver for a Kaulig Racing or something of that nature, I think there's other people that, especially some younger drivers, people would go, I think I'd rather have X versus him. But I do think he will add stability to that if he is indeed filling in the spot that was left by Justin Haley, or the fact that maybe AJ Allmendinger doesn't come back. So we'll probably learn if he's going to be in the 31 car or the 16. So again, that will be on Friday. Also, Justin Haley running a sweet Mountain Dew scheme Saturday. Check that out if you haven't seen that. This last part of news, this is kind of just, a smorgasbord of different things. Kyle Busch is going to be switching pit crews. Everybody is going to switch from Austin Dillon over to Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch had horrific pit stops this weekend. I don't think they've been bad most of the year. So I'm kind of surprised that they are switching them, but they have not been good this past week. The only one that will remain the same is the Fuel Man. So that is an announcement by RCR that they are going to change that. Zane Smith has said that he does have plans for 2024. The fact that he did not say that it's an Xfinity or Cup Series ride makes me believe that it's probably not. I feel like if it was something bigger than the Truck Series, we would already know or have grumblings of that. Or if it is an Xfinity Series ride, it might be a lower tier ride. So I'm sure Zane Smith and the powers that be will be announcing that soon as well. And this is the last one. Some changes from NASCAR that they've decided to eliminate stage breaks, or excuse me, they're going to add stage breaks back to the Charlotte Roval. So the last two road courses that we ran on, Indianapolis and Watkins Glen, there were no stage breaks, and we had one caution, and one of those races finished under 2 hours. Well, for the playoffs, they decided that Charlotte will indeed have stage breaks. They also changed the where the cars will fire off on the green flag, the restart zone. So they made some changes to where it will be in the chicane there instead of just ignoring the chicane altogether. So that should break things up. I don't actually like that. I do like the fact that they're doing stage breaks, but I don't like where they have the restart zone. I think that's going to be kind of weird. But that is myself. I feel like that's going to be a cluster mess more often than not. Because if a driver is starting in the middle of a chicane and everybody's trying to go forward, drivers are going to spin or miss the turn, or I don't know. I think it's going to create more harm than good. But that is just me. So again, let me know what you think. I'm all for it. I like when the cars rack up. I think it's better continuity for the race. I'll admit, whenever I heard they were taking out stage breaks for the road courses, I was for it. I wanted to see it. Now that I've seen it, don't care for it. As somebody that went, did not care for it. And, that's one of the things that I think NASCAR has gotten right by adding those. I don't think we need 15-minute stage breaks. I think it's fine to just do 1 or 2 laps, let everybody fuel up, let everybody choose, and then get back to green flag racing. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But again, they will start that. There'll be some more strategy. Do you go for playoff points? Do you go for the win? Different things like that, which I think add all kinds of storylines into the race itself. And I'm definitely all for that as well. But let's go ahead. We are now about to talk to this Saturday's race. It is Bristol, baby. All right. So on Saturday night, we will have the last leg of the playoffs here in the round of 16. It is time for Bristol. I'm scared. The short tracks have been horrific this year, and I expect more of the same. I don't think that Bristol's going to be a great race. I want to lie to you and tell you that it will. I think that the Xfinity race is going to be awesome and everything of that nature, but I am just terrified that the actual Cup race will be really, really bad. And if it is, that'll be a very damp. I mean, the only thing that could really say is you're going to have storylines. There's a lot of drivers close. Michael McDowell has to win it. Outside of that, there's definitely things that play there for other drivers, like a Bubba Wallace, like a Ricky Stenhouse, who almost has to win it, but doesn't quite have to win it. And also, obviously, Martin Truex Jr. being 7 points down at a track that he is not very good at. So I want a good race, but I don't expect a good race. If it is a good race, then I'll be pleasantly surprised, and I'll be the first one on here that says I'm absolutely thrilled. Out of all places, we have to talk about Bristol having the possibility of not being a good race. So, again, the drivers that I will pick, I am going to go with just strictly playoff drivers. Last year's winner's Chris Buescher. I'm going to stay with him. They've been driving really good. Should solidify himself into the next round. Had an issue last week. Otherwise, he would have already done that with a top 10 finish, but had a right rear tire go down. So, that's too bad. Another driver I will say that had a chance to win this not that long ago was Kevin Harvick. I think Kevin Harvick has a good run. He needs to have a good run, and so make sure that he gets into the second round here in his last year of racing. So I'm going to choose Kevin Harvick. I want to go Kyle Busch, but I will not because their short package team has been horrible. RCR has been horrible on short tracks. So I won't go there. I'll go Kyle Larson. He keeps a good thing going by being really, really fast. I think that stays the same. I'll go with Brad Keselowski and RFK Racing. I think they go really, really fast. And my last one, I will go with Christopher Bell. I think Christopher Bell, as long as his pit crew doesn't try to make sure that his playoff chances in, I think Christopher Bell will be really, really good at Bristol, and he will round it out. I think there's a strong chance that Bubba doesn't make it due to what happened to him. And, I think Michael McDowell for sure is out, even though he does run good at Bristol. So if you want to bet on him having a top 10, I think that's definitely a realistic possibility. And Ricky Stenhouse does okay, but he needs to do more than okay, or he needs to have drivers below him do awful. The guys that I'm paying attention to are Joey Logano. Joey Logano cannot have anything go wrong, or he will be out of the playoffs. I predicted him to be out of the playoffs. And on the same type, Ross Chastain can't have anything go wrong. Predicted him to be out of the playoffs. He's okay right now, but if he ends his race early, definitely somebody could sneak up in there. So, should be a hopefully fun Saturday night. I think the storylines will be there. Will the racing be there? That's yet to be determined. But if you want to follow us, we are on Facebook at Stuck in the Catch Fence. I have Patreon if you'd like to support this show and everything that I do to try to bring you guys the most accurate NASCAR news, make you guys think. We do Let's Think About It, different segments like that of what's going on in the world of NASCAR. And also, if you decide to go somewhere else that's not YouTube, and you're on Rumble, you can follow us there as well. So, for the weekly show, that's going to do it. I will announce if we decide to maybe stream possibly Sunday night. We'll see. If it's a good race, I might just jump on the last oh my goodness, stage. My brain completely went blank. So might do that. Let me know if you would like to do that. We might do the whole race. We'll see. Saturday nights get a little bit tricky at my house, but if you guys say you want it, we'll try to do it. So again, my name is Ryan Peters. This has been Stuck in the Catch Fence. We'll see you next time.